everyone, my name is Sarah Nasanga, and today I want to explain why the Strait of Hormuz is described as one of the world's most strategic choke points. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway located between Iran and the north and Oman and United Arab Emirates to the south. It connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and then to the Arabian Sea. Even though it is relatively narrow, it plays a huge role in the global economy. The main reason it is called the strategic choke point is because a very large share of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas passes through this single route every day. Countries such as Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates depend on this passage to export their energy resources to markets in Asia, Europe, and other parts of the world. If ships cannot pass through the Strait of Hormuz, the supply of oil to many countries is disrupted. Another reason it is military and geopolitical importance. So because the Strait is so narrow, any conflict, attack, or blockage can quickly affect international trade. Tensions involving Iran and the United States and other region countries often raise concern about security of this waterway. Even the possibility of disrupt can cause global oil prices to increase because of market fear shortages. This choke point is also important because there are very few practical alternative routes for transporting such large amounts of oil. Although some pipeline exists, they cannot replace full capacity of the ships that pass through the strait. This means the world remains highly dependent on keeping this route open and secure. From my understanding as a student, the Strait of Hormuz shows how geography can influence global political and world economy. A narrow stretch of water can affect fuel price, international trade, and even diplomatic relations between countries. It reminds us that even one region can have consequences far beyond its borders. In conclusion, the Strait of Hormuz is described as a strategic choke point because it's a narrow passage through which a significant portion of the world's energy supply must travel. Its location, economic importance, and security challenges make it one of the most important waterways in the world today. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. This is a speech of the analysis of the World Economic Forum in Davos on climate change. It is a pleasure to have you here today. I would like to share my thoughts and analysis on one of the most important discussions taking place at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and that is climate change. Every year, the World Economic Forum brings together presidents, prime ministers, business leaders, economists, scientists, and representatives from international organizations. Although they discuss many global issues, climate change has become one of the most urgent topics because its effects are now being felt in every part of the world. One of the strongest messages coming from Davos is that climate change is no longer just an environmental concern, it is also an economic challenge. We are seeing more floods, droughts, wildfires, rising temperatures, and extreme weather events. These disasters destroy homes, roads, and businesses, reduce agricultural production, interrupt global trade, and increase the cost of living. In simple terms, climate change is affecting how people live, how business operates, and how government manages their economies. Another important point discussed at the forum is the transition to clean energy. Many leaders believe that investing in renewable energy such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power is one of the best ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. At the same time, these investments can create millions of jobs, attract new industries, and promote long-term economic growth. This means that protecting the environment and growing the economy should not be seen as opposing goals. Instead, they can support each other. However, the discussions at Davos also highlighted an important challenge. While many governments and companies have announced ambitious climate commitment, there is still a significant gap between promises and real action. Developing countries continue to point out that they are among the most affected by climate change, even though they contribute far less. As a result, they are calling for greater financial support, technology transfer, and fair partnership to help them adapt to climate change and build more resilient economies. From the perspective as a student, one lesson stands out clearly. Climate change is a global problem that no single country can solve on its own. It requires cooperation between governments, businesses, researchers, and communities. Every country has a role to play, whether by reducing emissions, investing in clean technology, protecting natural resources, or educating future generations about environmental response. In conclusion, the World Economic Forum in Davos reminds us that climate change is not only an environmental issue, it is only an economic, social, and global security challenge. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you find this analysis informative. Thank you so much. Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Nasanga. Today I want to analyze why gas and oil prices have been increasing in Uganda and what this means to the country's economy. Many people think fuel prices increase because of decisions made only within Uganda, but the reality is that several international and local factors work together. The first and biggest cause is the increase of global crude oil prices. Uganda imports most of its refined petroleum products from the international market. When crude oil becomes more expensive because of conflicts in major oil producing regions such as the Middle East, Uganda importers pay more. These high costs are then passed on to consumers through high pump prices. Recent tensions affecting shipping through the Strait of Hormuz have increased global fuel prices, freight charges, and insurance costs. All of these have influenced Uganda's fuel market. The second factor is transportation and shipping costs. Since Uganda is a landlocked country, fuel arrives through ports in neighboring countries before being transported by road into Uganda. Any increase in shipping costs, transport charges, or insurance raises the final cost on fuel sold in the country. Another important factor is the exchange rate. Fuel is purchased in US dollars. If the Ugandan shilling weakens against the dollar, importers need more shillings to buy the same amount of fuel. This increases the retail price even if global oil prices remain unchanged. Raising fuel prices affect almost every sector in the economy. Transport operators spend more on diesel and petrol, so they increase transport fares. Farmers pay more to transport their produce to markets. Businesses face higher delivery costs, and manufacturers spend more on production. As a result, the prices of food, households, goods, and other essential commodities also increase, making life more expensive for ordinary Ugandans. The government have taken some steps to reduce the impact. That is, like the Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, has been importing fuel centrally and managing strategic fuel reserves to help maintain stable supplies and reduce the effect of global market disruption. These measures have helped keep Uganda's fuel price lower than these in some neighboring East African countries, even though prices have still increased. In conclusion, the increase in oil and gas prices in Uganda is mainly caused by higher global oil prices, geopolitical conflicts, increased transport and insurance costs. Not forgetting the exchange rates. So although Uganda is preparing to become an oil-producing country, it still depends heavily on imported refined petroleum products. Until domestic refining becomes operational, international events will continue to have a significant impact on fuel prices and the overall cost of in Uganda. Thank you for watching.